Hi, I'm Richie with Richie Security Services. Today I'm joined by Mark with Security Solutions and Conn from Dahua. How you guys doing today?
Hey Richie, how you been?
Doing good. Doing good. So what'd you bring to show us today?
Well, thanks for having us out here. Basically want to show you night color cameras and how they work. Dahua makes a couple different sizes, so they come in 4 megapixel, 2 megapixel. You can get bullets or domes. We even make some in our HD CBI technology as well. So the whole idea with night color cameras is basically to be able to produce full color images in dark.
Okay. So pretty much what you're saying is, in an outside setting, if it's totally dark, I'm still going to be able to see full color. What's the range on that? 60 feet, 30 feet? I mean, what's
as far as the naked eye can see, actually, because there's no IRs, so you don't have to worry about IR distances or anything like that. So it can see just as well as you can, except for it's able to produce those color images.
Well, I think the important thing is like in a forensic type investigation, if you want to tell if the vehicle's black and not dark blue, or if somebody's shirt is white and not light gray, then you can tell the specifics of that in true color.
Plus with like regular day-night cameras, they all work with IRs, right? Mm-hmm. So IR, the reflection on a person's skin, you can tell if they were black or white. And again, like Conn said, you couldn't tell what color clothing you were wearing. You couldn't really have any real good information to go on, except for, I got a picture, somebody did this then. So for your customer standpoint, I'm thinking that, maybe they might want to know who, what, when, where, and why. Mm-hmm. And it's a lot easier to tell if you know what they were wearing, what color skin they had, and be able to actually see the event.
Okay.
You also tend to get interference on infrared, like if you have weather and it's raining or something like that, or bright lights, where there becomes a reflection off of the infrared, and it can really distort the image, especially heavy rain, where that doesn't occur in our night color.
Okay. Yeah, I've actually run into that before out in the country with a lot of dust during the summer, whereas late at night and IRs are on, it looks like it's snowing in the middle of July.
Yeah.
Right. So a full color camera would do away with that. I mean, you might pick up some dust particles, but it won't be a snow or sandstorm type of.
No, because you don't have anything reflected. So since you don't have anything reflecting off IRs or anything like that, it's not going to distort your image. Your image only changes due to the amount of light introduced to the camera. So the more light that's introduced to the camera, the crisper the image. The less light, the less crisper the image is. But by the same token, you're able to see things that you normally wouldn't be able to see at night.
Okay. Other than just seeing at night, what's some of the other advantages of this particular camera?
A good example of use of this might be, say if you have a customer and they have a small business like a restaurant or a bar where they have really challenging lighting conditions. Mm-hmm. So, Richie, as well as I do, whenever you have a day-night camera and there's a change in lighting conditions, the IR's got to adjust to account for that light. So with this, because it's just absorbing whatever light is there, there's no moving parts there, so you don't have any periods of time where the camera actually goes dark before it brings itself back. With this, it's just going to be constantly the same. Another big advantage you have too is you don't have to worry about the camera being ghost out, by headlights, like in a parking lot situation. Mm-hmm. Say like you have 4 or 5 cars, a red truck, a blue car, a couple white cars in a parking lot. A car drives into that scene with headlights on. What happens to your cameras? What do you really see? Headlights, right?
Yeah, you're blinded.
You can't even see if there's any other vehicles in the lot. So what this does, you're still able to see the red truck, the blue car, the white cars, and be able to account for any movement in the scene as well. What do you think, Conn?
Yeah, in addition to that, we were talking about being able to view the whole scene, and especially when it comes to depth. Let's say that a person is approaching the area in which the camera is mounted. If you have infrared, you're only as good as you can only see as far as the infrared can see. Yeah. So maybe you get a decent picture of that individual. It's still not going to be in color, but that individual may have gotten out of a vehicle that's out on the street where the infrared camera will not see that vehicle, and the night color camera will, because it sees the entire area. And that might be important information, and when you're in an investigative type situation.
Okay, all right. Now I know a lot of other Dahua, products have analytics built right into the camera. Does this camera have any analytics built into it? And if so, which ones, are they doing face tracking or do they track an object? I mean,
Yeah, you can do, this has analytics in it, so you can do face tracking. You can do missing objects, abandoned object searches. You're able to use people counting ability with this camera, some heat mapping with this camera. So it's got everything short of full-blown analytics. So.
And those are included with the camera or can be added later?
It's actually included in with the camera.
Okay.
So as long as you have one of our recorders that's designed for use with this camera, it's going to work perfectly fine.
And you can also have smart motion detection that you can create with perimeter protection, we call it. And that way you can, as far as alerts, you can have them only alert on vehicle or only on person or on both in a given area, so you don't produce a lot of false alarms. It also saves on storage time. Because it's only going to record if those things are in a specific scene, in which that's the only thing you really care about. So it'll eliminate trees and animals and things such as that.
Okay. Now you mentioned that for that to work, it would require a special NVR or DVR if you use the CVIs. When you set up those alarms and stuff, do they allow for like push notifications to customers' cell phones? If you set those up through the app or through the NVR itself?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So just use the regular app like you would with any of our other products. I guess the biggest advantage that you would have with this particular product is there's less moving parts, so less maintenance. You don't have to worry about a whole lot. It's great for the customer because it's going to give you the ability to program the analytic functions for them, as well as they're going to be able to get more identifying features, in changing light situations that they would miss out with a traditional camera, no matter who manufactured it.
Okay. And one thing we haven't touched on is I'm assuming this is a full 1080 high definition camera?
Yes, they come in 2 megapixel and 4 megapixel. And on the CVI side, they're 2 megapixel. So
Okay.
full service.
Okay.
So.
Okay. You bring anything else you want to discuss, or?
Well, that's kind of what that's the goal today, is kind of introduce this to your customers because it is very unique. We do offer a wide range of products though with Dahua. One thing that might be of interest to some of your customers, depending on how large a scale you go, is there's never a licensing fee with any of our products. So we have everything from a 4-channel recorder up to a 2,000 channel capability through our servers. With our VMS, with never a licensing fee. And in addition to that, something that's unique to Dahua is our ePOE. So that's pretty cool, right, Conn?
Yeah, it is. So typically you'd only get about 300 feet out of wire runs from the recorder to the camera. We have a patented technology called extended or enhanced power over Ethernet. Those can run 1,000 feet. And so it saves in labor costs, it saves in just time to do the install itself, less runs, that kind of thing. And so that's unique to us. The other thing that I will say is a lot of the things that we're talking about with these features with analytics and this ePOE already come in all of our cameras, and they're already turned on. So while you're not always going to use all of these features, it's there when you need it, and again, no additional cost, as Mark was indicating.
What's really cool with the ePOE, Richie, I know that you've got some of our kits before in the past, and on the 16 channel, you probably noticed like half the ports are green. Well, those green ports, you can actually go as far as a little over 2,600 feet or 800 meters to a camera all the way out to the edge. So even on a camera out all the way on the edge, you're still going to be able to get enough power to power a fixed camera. You have enough megabit push to be able to get that information back. And like Conn said, 1,000 feet is kind of a sweet spot. Like if you're dealing around like 300 meters, you can actually power up to 25 watts of power and get 100 megabits per second at that distance, which is incredible because typically that's where most products stop at about, like Conn was saying, like 300 feet. So on one of those long distance runs, like if you have a storage warehouse or something where you want to run something far away and hardwire it in, you have the capability of doing that without putting a bunch of switches in, which is adding cost to your customer and adding a possible up to as many as 21 points of failure, to your system. So the idea is to make it solid.
Okay. So pretty much to sum it up, camera's going to, one thing that you mentioned, which I always like to say to my customers, is cost of ownership. These cameras, we buy them, we install them, they look great, they work great, and if we want to make a change later down the road, it's not going to cost more money to do so. Whereas some of the other cameras, like you said, they don't have this feature, it can be added for a price, or we need a licensing fee every year. So these cameras, don't have that, which is a great cost of ownership. They have less points of failure, which as a technician, I appreciate that.
Yes. Yeah.
Because terrible trouble call when you get out there and there's, like you said, 21 points that I have to check to see where the failing is happening.
Right.
Would you like to take a look at some of these cameras live and just kind of do like a regular live demonstration?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, let's check it out.
I see that you brought us some cameras to look at here. What do we got here?
Well, I just want to show like a brief demo of some of the versatility that we have at Dahua. The camera that you see up here at the top on channel 1 that's going to be depicted over there is our night color camera. So it will stay full color no matter what the lighting conditions are. And then the camera below that is also depicted on channel 2. And that particular camera is one of our Starlight cameras. It's one of the original ones like you used to use before, so you're pretty familiar with that. So it's really great capability in low light. The plus side of this is, it's the low light capability. The downside is it also uses some IRs. So I'm going to show you why that's important. This other camera here on the bottom, which is what we have on channel 3, is basically a sister camera to the one that you see in the top. Same platform and everything. The difference being this camera has IR, where the night color camera doesn't. This is a Starlight camera as well, so it's really great capabilities in low light, just so you know. And then I just threw this fisheye on just to kind of cover up a hole I have in my kit. But Dahua does make a wide variety of fisheyes, real easy to operate, so you can get an entire scene. Like we had this in the middle of this ceiling, we could see all corners of this room.
Yeah,
And
360.
if you had any activity in there, you would be able just to identify the activity and pull from a section of the 360 fisheye camera.
Okay.
So
So pretty much what we're going to do with the demo is we're going to kill the lights in the studio here and see what this camera can do.
yeah, we'll show you the difference of how this camera operates versus cameras with IR, so people can see what an everyday camera looks like, and then they'll see what happens as lighting conditions change. You good?
All right, let's go ahead and do that.
All right. As you notice there, Richie, if you look at screen 1, or I should say channel 1, you notice how fast that camera is operating, and you're still seeing color. Like you can see like the orange that's holding up the camera stands at the base. Mm-hmm. You still see the green of the tree, that sort of thing. And all the other cameras, even though they cost more, price-wise in this camera, are all black and white images. What is causing the black and white image is obviously the infrared. So they all look pretty crisp and clear, but here's what happens, like say if you have like a smash and grab or something like that. The camera gets ghosted out, and if you look at the background, you see how the background faded out on that camera?
Yes.
And it took a minute to come back. Say that happened in a restaurant or a bar or something like that you had cameras in, and you wanted to have some identifying features of the person that done that. How could you get them? Because skin is reflective, so it wouldn't matter if the person were black and white, it'd still show up as white. You wouldn't be able to tell if what color of clothes they were wearing. Just like you see the guys in the studio now, you can't tell what color clothes they're wearing at all. Mm-hmm. Another cool feature is you never have to worry about this camera ghosting out. You notice the background never changed, where no matter what I do with any of these other cameras, you're going to lose the background temporarily as the camera adjusts. Now, it's even worse in changing lighting conditions. So say like if you had a situation where a car light come on. Can you turn that, flip that light on? Is that possible? So you have a headlight come on into an area. You notice that the color night camera is still the same. The other cameras, it's kind of hard to tell what's going on because they have to adjust that light, right? So if that happened in a parking lot and there was an accident, would you know that there was an accident at that particular time? Probably not, because the light ghosting out the camera. So you see now that light's heavy enough that the IRs in these cameras, since they are low light cameras, are able to bring it back quickly. But the issue is with your customers is seconds matter. So if it takes a camera a few seconds to adjust because of a change in lighting conditions, what just happened to cause that change in lighting condition? There had to be some type of motion there. So it could have been a traffic accident in the parking lot, could have been like illustrated earlier, a smash and grab, or you could have like, you know, a vehicle coming into an area that's not supposed to be there, but you wouldn't really know that other cars were even parked there, let alone what color they are.
Yeah.
So does that make sense? So if you want to kill that light again, you can see how these cameras adjust, so you can see what I'm talking about when cameras adjust. See how fast that was with the camera on the top left-hand corner? And we still haven't got the background on the other two, and they're still trying to adjust to the light. So hopefully that was a good illustration of how these cameras work and how it could not only be effective, cost-wise, it's going to be right the same price range as the other cameras that you see displayed here. But the advantage is kind of tenfold, because if you do have an accident, or if you have a smash and grab, or if you have something where you need to see identifying characteristics of whatever caused the incident, you can get them with the night color camera. So you can tell what color clothes they had on, you know, what color skin they had, what color car they were driving, what other vehicles were parked in a parking lot, for instance, that sort of thing, without having to worry about the IRs causing any reflective issues. You got any questions at all, Richie?
No, I mean, I think you covered it all, you know, very well. I mean, as you can see in the video, you know, there's a lot of great reasons to go with our full color night camera, you know, as well as black and white ones. You know, they've been around forever. They still work, but like you said, there is some limitations to those. So yeah, I think this demonstration really illustrates the importance of the new technology.
All right. Cool, Richie. I just promise to keep you abreast on anything that's new that we have coming out, and maybe I'll see you again soon.
Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks again.
Thank you.